AskReddit by Peach Milkshake 2319. Serious? First responders of Reddit, what is a terrifying situation that you wish more people knew how to handle to result in less casualties? Attention. Serious. Tag notice. Jokes, puns, and off-topic comments are not permitted. https://www.reddit.com/r/wiki/index-wiki_rule_6- in any comment parent or child. Parent comments that aren't from the target group will be removed, along with their child replies. Report comments that violate these rules. Posts that have few relevant answers within the first hour, and posts that are not appropriate for the serious tag will be removed. Consider doing an AMA request instead. Thanks for your cooperation and enjoy the discussion. I am a bot, and this action was performed automatically. Please contact the moderators of this subreddit. Message compose $?to =r AskReddit if you have any questions or concerns. Have your address clearly marked and AMP lit so responders can get to you quickly. Every second counts. So many of the tips here are wilderness survival, and I can't argue those will help. But coming from a kid that's suburban raised in city for the last dozen, this hit me hard. How to perform a Heimlich on yourself. You're a goner without a doubt if you're by yourself and food gets too stuck. It is way too common to find people choke to death on toilet stalls at restaurants. By instinct they don't want to disturb others and seek a place where they try to get whatever is stuck on their throat out. Please, if you are choking, try to get help and let everyone know that you are in trouble. Oh, I don't want to embarrass myself and ruin people's night, so I'll just die in the toilet is a wrong mindset in that situation. If you are dealing with someone who has been stabbed or impaled and the item is still inside the body, do not pull it out. There's always that one urban legend of the new paramedic who pulls a knife out and his partner yells at him, "What the fuck is he doing?" So he panics and puts it back in. Limb amputations. Easy to save someone with a tourniquet. Keep a few in your car, know how to apply them. It can save your or someone else's life. Tons and tons of blood dumps out of an amputation. Worse, so many people think they are dangerous. Oh, but they will lose the limb. 1. Unlikely unless it's on there 4 hours or the limb is already fucked. 2. I think it is better to be alive with 3 limbs than dead with like 3.8. Friend of mine is a police officer in his home city. If your friend is drunk, get them a cab home. Do not leave them to take the train home. He always tells me 90% of the people he gets run over by trains are drunks who fall into the train tracks. And there are so many drunk young men who fall into canals and drown that we've created a new urban legend serial killer, the smiley face killer. Treat every gun as if it's loaded. Proper weapons handling according to the Marine Corps. Rule 1. Treat every weapon as if it were loaded. Rule 2. Never point a weapon at anything you do not intend to shoot. Rule 3. Keep your finger straight and off the trigger until you are ready to fire. Rule 4. Keep the weapon on safe until you intend to fire. Rule 5. Know what lies beyond and between you and your target. XEMT here. We're talking 13 years ago. It's not a great idea to put the pedal down as soon as the traffic light turns green. Wait a couple extra seconds. That first 2-3 seconds when the light turns green is a great time to get nailed by some idiot blowing through a red light. When it comes to driving, always check, never assume. Wear your fucking seatbelt. And make sure others in the car also wear their seatbelt. One thing a senior supervisor taught me as a crisis social worker: if it feels bad or wrong, trust it. Don't push past it. There's usually a good reason, you intuitively know that. Also, lock up your damn guns. Also, Even if all of your friends did it but you still feel unsure about doing what they did, don't. Perhaps your friends were lucky, perhaps they had more skill than you and have done that before. You have not. Do not attempt if you don't feel the confidence. I'm not a first responder, but I have a friend who is. He says stay off of train tracks. Don't squish pennies or do photo shoots on them or walk on them at all. Believe it or not, trains can sneak up on you at an alarming speed and they do not slow down. I saw a TikTok the other day where a girl was showing how she puts on her prosthetic ear. I wondered how she lost her ear, so went to her profile to see if she had a video about it. Turns out she had been on some train tracks, making a TikTok video, of course, and she didn't know that train tracks are electrified. She tripped and fell on the electric rail and got severe electrical burns in several places, including one that literally melted her ear off. She also claimed in her video that the reason she didn't know about the electric rail was because UK schools don't teach you about this, which made me roll my eyes because A, yes they do, and B, even if they didn't, there have been literal ad campaigns warning people not to mess around on train tracks, not to mention all the fucking signs near the tracks themselves, and also basic common sense, because even if you didn't know about the electricity, there's still the risk of a fucking train coming. How to inject an EpiPen. My two best friends are both allergic to a wide variety of foods, and also bees, and they are some of the least concerned humans I've ever met when it comes to EpiPens. One usually has his in the car and the other just kinda lives by. I've made it this far without one on me. No real point to this information other than them being fucking dumb mayo. Children choking. Every parent should assume at some point their child will choke on something and know how to handle such situation. I choked on a Flintstone gummy when I was super young. My poor mom was scared as hell, but to her credit acted fast and got me to cough it back up. Always wear a seatbelt. Don't drive drunk under any circumstances. Test your drugs. Don't put anything in the mouth of someone having a seizure. Protect their head and let them seize. Learn how to do CPR. If you ever encounter a heavily burnt person running to you, they always run in the hope to survive. Don't touch them with your bare hands. Your hands might be too hard for their burnt skin and flesh. Always touch them with cloth or towel. Also, your hands are too dirty. Wear gloves if you can. If everyone in a room, vehicle, building is unresponsive, do not enter for any reason. If you see someone collapse after entering a confined space, do not enter for any reason. If you see a person collapse near a potential chemical spill, do not enter for any reason. Overall, if it killed them, it will kill you. Examples arise year after year of a person who asphyxiates in a confined space and their would-be rescuer also asphyxiates. Nitrogen gas seems to be a common culprit. First responders with O2 sensors and SCBA should go in only when trained and equipped accordingly. If you lose your child in a crowded area, shout out what they are wearing as well as their name. It makes them much easier to identify to others. If you're swimming in the ocean and you get knocked over and can't tell which way is up, exhale and follow the bubbles. When my kids were little, anytime we'd go to a busy, crowded place, I'd take a picture of them before we went in so I would have a picture of exactly what they were wearing. I'd also sometimes dress them in bright colored shirts to make it easier to spot them if we got separated. Whenever you encounter an emergency situation, stop what you're doing and say to yourself, this is not my emergency. This will, hopefully, allow you to take a step back and assess the situation and prevent you from making poor, split-second decisions. So many people jump into swift water trying to save someone else, only to become a second victim. Some people quickly try to extricate victims, but injure them further. Allow yourself to look at things as objectively as possible and you'll make much better decisions. First thing I was told when I did my first aid CPR course was help if you can without endangering yourself. When I did my first sailing course it was help if you can without endangering yourself, your crew, or your vessel. If you charge in without assessing the situation, then there's one more person to be rescued, and one less person available to provide help. Rule 1 is don't make the situation worse. If you're in a car accident, especially a busy intersection roadway, don't just get out. If your car is drivable, get it out of the roadway. If it's not drivable, get yourself out of the street ASAP. Can't count how many times I've almost been struck by drivers not paying attention or just not giving a shit and driving fast past accident scenes. I keep 2 reflective vests in my car in case I, and possibly one of my passengers, needs to get out on the side of the road during an emergency or in case of car trouble. You don't have to have phone service to dial an emergency number. It will be prioritized for any available network, so if there's signal from anything it will get through, not just your network. Similarly, if you don't know the emergency number of a country you're in, try the one for your home country. A lot of places will have common ones worldwide go through too. Also, always Google the emergency number before you go on vacation and write it in your notes on your phone. I always do. Never needed it, but you never know. All I'm getting from reading this is that I should just stay home. Where you're at risk of dying from a stroke while sitting on the toilet, trying to dislodge the food you're choking on. Shit. I'm not a first responder, however I had friends who worked in EMT and I was trained for first aid and a few other certifications while in school. Always keep a first aid kit and tourniquet in your car. I've had many close calls, luckily only needed it once. Guy ran a red light and I T-boned him. He was uninjured and drove away, however my leg was cut so badly that if I hadn't used my tourniquet, I would have bled to death. Also get training for first aid, you never know when you'll need it. It can save your life, and others' lives in a bad situation. Last thing I'm gonna write here is, when you're driving, keep the mindset that everyone is a maniac on the road. It'll keep you prepared to avoid an accident if you need to. Clearing a simple choking obstruction, especially in infants. 1. Drownings don't look like they do on Baywatch. Don't expect splashing, screaming or frantic waving. People who are drowning often look like someone being a bit of a weirdo playing by themselves, head going under then popping up like a boy that's weighted. 2. Drowning people are dangerous to your safety and you need to approach the situation by prioritizing your own survival. It is the natural response of a drowning person to cling on to whatever they can to stay afloat. That includes you. Given the chance, they will climb on your head, and you need to approach a drowning person with the assumption that they absolutely will. Proceed with a flotation device for them to cling to. If you don't have one, approach feet first, ready to push off if they try to clamber onto you. 3. Don't jump into the water to save someone unless you know in absolute certainty that you can get both of you back out. The ocean doesn't care how well you swim in bathers at the pool, it is an absolute force of nature. Don't become a second victim to be saved, your best intentions don't help anyone. 4. Don't walk on the rocks. Don't swim near the rocks. Don't fish from the rocks. Stay off the damn rocks. Depending on your definition of first responder, 911 dispatcher here. Listen to us. People are literally trained to give simple life-saving instruction to you. Talking over us, ignoring, or just saying get here now and hanging up takes away from saving whom you're calling for. Also take a CPR class. It'll help to have the background knowledge even if you're in a panicked state. Hearing the instructions might help to calm you down a little when you realize you know how to do it. EMT and nursing student here. If you do not feel okay to drive because of drinks or anything, please do not think you are good enough to drive. That is somebody's significant other, parent, grandparent. I'm sick of all these drunk drivers. I stopped going out for 4th of July parties and New Year's Eve parties a long time ago. Deleted. Most of these seem really solid, but I'm not sure I'm following why my pet would be leading me into a trap. Drowning. lived in Hawaii for 21 years, and almost no one knows CPR. The class is free and takes 3 hours. My uncle used to be a cop. He said that if someone is overdosing, you should still call 911 because you could save their life, and there will be absolutely no legal trouble. And you don't have to wait 48 hours to report someone is missing. The sooner the better. My dad used to be a firefighter. He said that if you ever wake up to the smell of gas, don't turn anything on, because it's electrical damage, and it can cause a fiery explosion. He also said that when cooking something in a pan, and it catches on fire, don't use water to put it out, use the pan cover. Most of this shit you won't remember or will be bad at. Nice to know, I guess. What might actually help educate yourself and especially your elderly family members about DNRs and MOLST forms. The few that actually, finally have them won't know how they work and won't have them handy. I'll make a phone call, but telemetry might still make me do CPR and intubate grandma with end-stage cancer because you can't find the paperwork. My father is DNR and it is the first thing I tell the staff upon any admission. The paperwork is in every vehicle myself and my so own, and in a laptop bag which goes almost everywhere with me. The hospital has a copy but I still give it every time.